Hello and thank you for watching this Accelerate with Nerdio video content. In this video today, we'll be looking at an overview of the B series as well as a demonstration or tutorial of the B series. This video will cover the definition of the B series, its use case, as well as any technical details. The following tutorial is a segment that was presented by Carl Long during the September 2020 Everything Azure for MSPs.
Welcome again to all of our partners and partners-to-be. My name is Carl Long, and in this section, I'll be covering the Azure B Series VM. What we'll discuss today is what is the B Series, when should you use it, and how can you view B Series credits in the Nerdio admin portal. So what is the B Series? For many workloads that run in Azure, like web servers, small databases, and development test environments, the CPU performance can be very bursty. So those workloads will run for a long time using only a small fraction of the CPU performance possible and then spike to needing the full power of the CPU due to incoming traffic or required work. So the B Series offers a cost-effective way to deploy these workloads that do not need the full performance of the CPU continuously and burst in their performance. So while the B Series are running in the low points and not fully utilizing the baseline performance of your CPU, your VM instance is going to build up credits. So basically when CPU is under low load, you're building up credits to allow you to burst at a high level. So, once those credits are accumulated, you can actually burst up to 100% of that vCPU during the time needed. Now there are detailed guides on all of the Microsoft VM series sizes on their site. I highly recommend reviewing them before making any commitments, and we'll talk about, again, some of the considerations as we go through the next few slides. So Azure B Series, low-cost series, great fit for low CPU workloads, burstable series. One huge consideration that we'll talk about is disk performance shouldn't be a factor if you're going to use the B Series, as it does have some limitations. Specifically, if we look at this slide, in these two columns, I have the B Series sizes and their actual disk throughput limitations at IOPS and megabits. And so if we look at a comparable D Series, so we have a B2 versus a D2, we can see that disk throughput is almost double. So again, B Series, great for low-end dev environments, non-frequent CPU disk utilization, but it can absolutely create a bottleneck. So when should you consider using a B Series VM? Well, in all Nerdio for Azure deployments, we provision a B Series in two places, the domain controller and the initial pool that we provision, Pool A. Domain controllers are a great fit for B Series, especially with less than 100 users, as they tend to have low CPU load most of the time, right? Users are coming in the morning or evening. That's when they're going to get hit with the most of their workload. And so the rest of the time, they're able to sit there and accumulate credits. You definitely want to monitor this if you have less than 100 users, but you find that load is constantly going over the amount of available credits. That's when you're going to want to look at a D or E series. And, I mentioned that we have that initial Pool A template as a B Series, and that's not because we recommend it to be production facing. We absolutely don't. Before you go live, or when you start to actively test those pools, you're going to want to upgrade to a D or E series. Again, we create it with a B Series because it minimizes your cost, as it's likely not having any load once you provision and you're getting the environment ready. But once you get that template built out and you're ready to start testing, you absolutely want to upgrade that template to a D or an E series and then let it build those hosts. We've talked about how B Series have credits that they accumulate. And so from the Nerdio admin portal, under the servers view, using this domain controller as the example, we can see our B2MS, so our B Series. It has banked credits, and we can see credits that have been consumed. So you've got an easy way to kind of monitor and see what the banking versus utilization looks like. And again, you always want to track CPU consumption through your RMM and other tools to make sure that your environment is running effectively and efficiently. And that also kind of brings us full circle, right? So we know the B-Series is a great value VM, assuming the use case isn't CPU or disk intensive. So, when we think about our environment and looking for constraints, I always like to recommend our Troubleshooting WVD Performance Guide. Our CEO has authored a detailed guide that covers using multiple tools normally included within environments to look for constraints on CPU, RAM, disk, and networking. You can access this guide by going to getnerdio.com, clicking on the Nerdio Academy at the top, and searching for Troubleshooting WVD Performance. You can also use this direct link and go to nerdio.co/troubleshootwvd.